Hi, today's good person to know is Steve Wozniak, known as Woz. He co-founded Apple in 1976 with Stephen Jobs, who sadly passed away. They raised $1,300 selling their most prized possessions because they wanted to buy parts so they could build computers. It's now the world's most valuable company, having surpassed Coca-Cola just last month, 30th of September. I hope you really enjoy this video. It's particularly relevant to developers, programmers and engineers. He talks about apps, smartphones, latest gadgets, what he would like out there, marketing, Apple. I really don't know how much more I can talk about this guy because he's absolutely phenomenal. Without further ado, I give you Woz.
All the trouble is all of the real noted phones today, they're all good. You can't criticize and say one of them is bad because of this one lousy feature it has or one thing it doesn't do. You can't say that to anybody. Everybody's got it, knows they're living their life. And most of the life really isn't the phone anyway, it's apps. I wish I had my whole smartphone here. As a matter of fact, I really want to ask it Siri questions and get answers to difficult questions, like is the population of one country larger than that of another? Come up with an answer. So I wanted a smartphone. I've been talking about that for 2 years publicly. That what's important to a business is what is the cost to do the work you have to do. The cost, for example, for Facebook. Each transaction, what is the dollar cost of each transaction? If you simplify the formula, taking everything into account, that's what matters. All the smartphones are taken off based on the iPod Nano. Roughly this size. Sony, Qualcomm, Nokia, who else? Samsung. They're all coming out this size, and I expect there's going to be about 30 of them soon, because it's a pretty easy technology to make. And how smart are they? Are they the complete phone, or do they have to link to your phone with Bluetooth to really use cellular at all? Is the cellular going to be built into it? Or external? Maybe external like Google Glasses now. But I've been saying I want a wearable phone, so I don't have to even reach in my pocket. I don't want to carry my phone. I want the whole complete thing. Recently, though, I started saying I don't like the small size of a phone. It doesn't have enough output device. It doesn't have enough for me to see what's going on, what I'm trying to get information about, and to use and scroll through. It complicates my life too much being small. I want something closer to the size of, let's say, an iPhone today, or whatever phone today. And that means a little larger on the wrist or something. Maybe it folds over your wrist to give you more square inches. I thought, oh my gosh, how about the inside of your wrist? You can have a whole thing wrapped around your wrist. The inside of your wrist has more room to hide a full-size phone. But then I thought, I could grab my wrist with my hand, like this, and I fold my hand over, and it fits. It fits on both sides of the hump over my wrist to the hand. And that made me think, oh my gosh, I could have a phone that I can flip out. Isn't this so cool? Flip open, and maybe when you flip it open, it's got flexible materials and springs and stretches a little kind of straight, and once you flip it open, you can still use it two-handed. So I'm starting to think that would be a kind of a new phone. Flip it open, take a phone call, flip it open, do whatever, do with Siri on it. And the front, and if it wraps around your wrist, the whole band could also be displaying some useful information about what's happening in your life. Every idea that seems to have some use in life, everyone thinks, oh my gosh, this is the start of a company. The word nowadays is it's $1 billion idea. It might just be a piece of plastic, but you say it's $1 billion idea. Just because it has some use to somebody, you may never be able to sell one in the world, but now we're starting to move to where people have to use the word, it's $1 trillion idea to get heard. It's got tubes that tell the time, and after I showed it to my gadget friends for 3 days, I started realizing these big glowing digits were easier on my brain than any watch I've ever owned in my life. And I always acknowledge technology is better if I feel that I'm working less. Almost everybody walks around like it's another limb to their body. My smartphone, and I'm doing so much on it. It's my communications gap to the world. And it's starting to become like a little friend because you talk to it the way a human talks to a human. And sometimes you get answers. So it's going to get better. Artificial intelligence is going to get better. We don't know what intelligence is the problem, not yet. But it's like a little person. It's going to be my best friend someday. But to have it on me, see, they got smaller. The products got smaller and smaller and smaller every step of the evolution. The best is if you don't think about anything at all. Every step we take with computers that makes it easier. You don't have to think about things and memorize what to do is better. So I really want to work with technology, but I got to have the human voice. I want to see the day when almost all the apps that come out are allowed to put the voice recognition in. Startups were a little bit unusual, and you start something on your own. Look at California was a hot spot for a lot of them, you know. Places like Google, if you look at Microsoft, Apple, Yahoo in its day, Facebook, they all kind of started with just young people just sort of going on their own way and no prescribed formula. But now apps are so big. There's so much of a market, there's so many of them, that if you have a winner, you make a lot of money. It's such a big deal that everybody's out there trying to think of it in terms of maximizing a company and planning everything and doing more of the business from a planned business point of view. When we started Apple, our business was accidental. Steve Jobs just wanted to have a successful company, and he did all the business on the phone, you know, ordering parts and getting sales and getting publicity. One thing that I do see is publicity matters a lot. We had a lot of publicity because nobody was against us. No big companies thought our personal computers were going to be successful in that early startup phase. So all the press was hot on this neat story, including two kids starting in a garage. The whole idea of little computers that would be in your own home was a hot story. Today, you almost start out in such a huge market for everything. You've almost got to think, oh my gosh, I've got competition from the start. And what am I trying to do? Are you also I think that apps, are you trying to do something? When we started Apple, we started with a really advanced product. I hate to say it, the Apple II. But it was all of the revenues and profits of Apple for the first 10 years of the company. Marketing is the most important thing. It's a lot easier to think of an app and write it than to figure out a way to convince people to buy it. To get the message out. Very important to get good publicity in the right places, because public journals, the right blogs can reach 10,000 people, 100,000 people, 1 million people in one shot. Treat it as marketing is the most important. What is marketing? More than anything else, it is being a user of your product. When I worked at Hewlett Packard, we were an engineering-driven corporation, and I developed the early computers of Apple there. I tried to get HP to do it. They turned me down 5 times. But how come we were engineering-driven? That meant that engineers could come up with the product ideas that would become products that would take a division of Hewlett Packard for the next decade. Normally, those ideas come down from management. They come down from marketing, figuring out what are the needs of the user, what are the price ranges, what are the features. Well, at Hewlett Packard, back in those days, we were only building tools that engineers use. So we engineers were the market. We totally understood it. We understood what was needed, what was good, what was bad, so the ideas could come out of our own hand, which was very motivating, very personal. But starting Apple, you know, it changed the fundamental direction. We're going to be market-oriented. We're going to understand people, their needs. We're going to modify products accordingly. We're going to write software that fills those needs and develop extra hardware. Be very attentive to the end user. So it always helps if you are. If you're not an end user and you have a good idea, you better find one of those people that is a good end user and become partners with them, even when you're running on $0. Find somebody that'll be friend with you and really help tell you what to do. And also, if you're a businessman, please find the engineer. Maybe most of you in this room are programmers, but please find the engineers, you know, because engineering is so difficult. You have to think of clever ways to solve problems, get things to work. And the engineers' minds are so clever, they'll think of things you didn't think of for your own product idea. If you write an app or something like that, your goal should be, what could I do to make it better than anybody else in the world would do? Or at least as good as anyone else in the world could possibly do. Look at what is going on in the thinker's mind to come up with a new idea and a new approach. Are they really innovative? Do they have something that's different than other people's, especially?